Folks, let me just interject here for a minute at the beginning of the video and let you know that at the end of this video is going to be a link to the next video as well as a link to the beginning of this series. Now, I just got finished shooting the main body of this video. My intention was to include the way we went about determining the design of the bag we're going to make as a reproduction, and go into the material that we're going to use. The video's coming out a little bit too long for that purpose. So what we're going to talk about here is how we came about deciding exactly what Warren Miller's sleeping bag looked like. If you want to skip forward and just go to what kind of materials and how to cut them and how to sew it together, just fast forward to the end of this video and click on the link that goes to the next one. Okay? If you fast forward, YouTube gives me a credit for you watching the whole thing. Okay? We're kind of gaming the system here. Hi YouTube. Okay, welcome to the second video in our series on Warren Miller's sleeping bag. Okay, the first video was kind of a history of Warren Miller, who he was, what he did, why he's an icon, a pioneer of what we call bushcrafting today, modern bushcrafting, from the early 20th century. Now, in June 1919, a few months after he left as editor of Forest and Stream magazine, he wrote an article for that magazine that spoke mostly about tents. However, I keyed in on 2 or 3 paragraphs of that article that described a sleeping bag he had been using for several years. And that's what we're doing with this video series, is we're making that bag. However, as I said at the end of the first video, there's a bit of a mystery we have to solve before we can do it properly. Now, I could just sit back and show you how to make the bag, and that would be it. Okay? But what I'm making this particular video about is to show you the process by which some of us go through to determine the accuracy of the reproduction that we're making. It's usually very easy to make a reproduction if you have an original example, or if you have a detailed pattern or description, or you have the specifications for the item, as like if it was a piece of military gear, and they can get down to the number of stitches per inch at any particular seam. The problem with making this reproduction, and we should actually call it a replica or replication, and you'll find out why. The problem is that in the narrative part of the article that describes the sleeping bag, Miller describes a sleeping bag about 30 inches wide by 7 feet long, which is great. It's a rectangular bag, easy to make. However, we have a sketch that appears at the end of the article. It is not a rectangular bag. Okay? The second problem we have involves math. Miller says to buy 7 yards, 9 yards of fabric to make this bag. A yard of fabric is 3 feet long. 9 times 3 is 27 feet. But you need to make 4 different panels to make this bag. And according to his description, it's 7 feet long. Well, that's 28 feet of fabric. So if you buy the fabric he tells you to buy, you're not going to be able to make the sleeping bag he describes. And then we go to the sketch and we see this. Yeah, that's right. So not only is Miller's initial description of a 30-inch by 7-foot rectangular bag incorrect, the length is wrong. Okay? What's up with that, Warren? All right, now a couple weeks ago, I thought I had found the solution to this problem in another article that he had written in the Boy's Book of Hunting and Fishing that shows exactly the same illustrations as in that 1919 article. This was written 7 years later in 1926. Now, the only difference in the description, or the sketch rather, is that the length of the sleeping bag has been changed from 7'6" to 4'6", because it's a sleeping bag for boys. However, there are two problems. Number one, he says to buy fabric that is 28 inches wide. But the sketch shows a 30-inch wide piece, finished sleeping bag. Warren, come on, you're an engineer. Math, it's important. Okay, so anyway, here's what we've got. We don't have Warren Miller's original sleeping bag. If you watch the first video, you know that all of his camping gear was thrown away when he moved to Florida in the 1950s. But we do have these sketches. And we do have a phrase he uses in that second article. Now, when he wrote that article in 1919, it was accompanied with a couple of sketches. His son, Barse, did all the sketches for Miller's Sportsman's Workshop. Okay, this came out in 1921, 2 years after that article was written. Now, having been a draftsman for the past 50 years, we have a phrase that we use in drafting where we talk about someone's hand. That's where you can recognize, if you know the person and know how they draw, you can recognize their hand, what their drawings look like, because everybody's drawing looks differently. Well, when I saw the illustrations in Sportsman's Workshop and compared them to the illustrations in that Forest and Stream article and in the Boy's Book of Hunting and Fishing, I saw Barse Miller's hand. Okay, he did all of those sketches, in my opinion. Can't prove it, but I believe he did. Okay, so I think Barse went out into the garage, or wherever it is his daddy kept his camping gear, unrolled the sleeping bag, measured it, and sketched it. And the sketch represents the most accurate depiction of Warren Miller's sleeping bag. Okay? As far as the method of construction, Miller gives instructions on how to put it together in the Boy's book. Okay? But they're all wrong. What he describes is you lay the piece of cloth down, then you put the insulation down, then you lay another piece of cloth on that, sew it all around, and quilt it. He also gives the instruction to the boys to give it to your mom to do. Okay, here's the problem with his instructions. If you do that, you're going to end up with a sleeping bag that has frayed edges all the way around. All of the edges will be exposed. if you go camping for a week, you're going to come home with a sleeping bag that is all wore out. Okay? So, here's my determination. Warren Miller was a man of his time. And as evidenced by the phrase where he says, "Have your mother sew this," I think Warren Miller did not actually make his own sleeping bag. I think his wife did it. I think he told her what he wanted and she sewed it together. He had a general idea about these things, but I don't think he actually made it. And that's why the sketch was made by Barse. And then when Miller wrote that 1926 book, he just went into his files, saw the sketches he had done for that 1919 article, changed the length from 7'6" to 4'6", drove on, still giving bad information in the narrative description. So, what's in the sketch is what we're going to build. Okay, well, there you go. We're going to leave it here. The next video is going to be on the materials that we're using, how we came about that decision, and how to cut them. Okay? If you find any of my videos entertaining, educational, or interesting at all, please like the video. Please subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit that notification button so that you are notified when a new video comes out. And what this does is it helps people find my videos, people who are interested in the same things that you and I are, which, let's be honest, it's not mainstream stuff. Okay? But it helps people find these videos, and we can spread the word about classic camping. Okay? Thanks for watching. We'll see you down the trail. There's a link to the next video that follows this.